what we're going to be speaking about today is sort of defining what socialism actually means, or most probably what I mean when I say socialism. Because one of the big points of solidarity is that we didn't have a line in the sand, a specific party view. What socialism is, we're a broad left party, which means that we'll accept people from all kinds of schools of socialist thought. So we've got members of the party who are hardcore Marxist-Leninist Maoists, and we've got members of the parties that just sort of vaguely agree that socialism is a good idea, and that's absolutely fine. It's one of your points. That's how we exist. Other parties are very strict, and they're very clear on what they mean when they say socialism and what they'll accept. And that isn't necessarily a criticism of their parties. I think in many ways that could be a strength. It's just an observation, it's just a fact of how other parties operate. So as a broad left party, we collectively share policy ideas based on what we think is right, rather than what fits an overarching philosophy. So I decided that today we should talk about what socialism means to me, what I'm advocating for, and what kind of policies I've either ushered through the party, or policies I'd like to see us adopt. So I'm going to broadly define socialism, talk about the ways socialism can realistically function, and briefly on the liberal pratfalls that we need to avoid to be a real socialist party. So when I'm talking about socialism, what I actually mean is the democratisation of the productive forces in society through a combination of nationalism, workers' co-ops, and individual specialist labour. Now, that's quite a lot of waffling. What I mean by that, it's the kind of thing that other comrades and other branches that didn't exist would understand. What I actually mean by that is that when we look at the way all the stuff that we need for society to run, so the businesses, the public services, the industries, they things should be run by the people. But the people is quite a broad and vague sentiment, and in some cases the things should be run by everybody all working together, sometimes just by the people that actually take part in producing stuff. And occasionally you'll get wee examples where there's no need for oversight for either the government or the community. A guy can just get stuff done. So for example, a plumber doesn't necessarily need, to have to get the local council to vote on every sink that he fixes. A plumber can just go and get stuff done. And as well as being a socialist, I'm definitely well in the category of being a communist. Because when I speak about socialism, I'm talking about the building blocks and the stepping stones that they build in a classless, stateless, moneyless society. But the reason I have to join a communist party and instead join a socialist party is that I don't think that communism is achievable any time within my lifetime. I think we're still in the middle way, neo-colonial capitalism, and that needs to be undone before we can even consider a fully automated world. So for me, that's why socialism is the goal, the key subject. So the three things that we're going to be looking at, the three primary forms of socialism, and the three ways that socialism can actually function in society, is we're going to look at nationalisation, democratisation, and socialisation. So, nationalisation is a process where the government owns sectors of industry. This on its own isn't socialism. There's loads of examples of that in Britain, and to an extent in America, and in France, and most of Europe. It's welfare capitalism. Some countries do absolutely fantastic own welfare capitalism. For example, Scandinavian countries, like Norway, they do absolutely brilliantly. They've got amazing public health and public transportation and great welfare schemes, and they're a lot closer to a fair and equal society than we certainly are. But to just achieve that wouldn't be enough, as far as I'm concerned. But it's certainly a step in the right direction. If we say that socialism is a system where workers own the means of production, and complete nationalisation, so the government controls everything, is where the government owns things, and if the people own the government through a socialist government, then nationalisation is a form of socialism, because it means that we get a say on stuff like healthcare and public transport and communication. The big thing that I've always said with this is that things should be nationalised if there isn't a reasonable way that you could compete with them. So for example, railroads. I used to visit Essex, but it was where my granddad stays. I'd go to Edinburgh railway station, I'd go to Waverley, and I would see posters next to the train that I needed to go on, and it would say, East Coast Rail, the best coffee, in trains. And I'm like, that doesn't matter, because this train's the one that goes where I'm going. I'm going to Essex, but this train going to Cornwall has got nicer seats, so I'm going to Cornwall instead. My choice is based on the location I need to be, no any quality of service. So trains should be controlled by the people. Now, why can trains not just be run by train conductors? Well, because what a train does and where a train goes affects everybody around it. So they need to be coordinating on a national level. So that's the kind of thing you put government in charge of. Similar thing is, if I just go around the table, and even if you just want to shout it, because it's not that important, who do you get your broadband for?
Right. BT.
Origin.
So everybody on that side of the table actually gets their broadband for BT, even if it's through Origin, and we all get it through Virgin because I'm with Virgin as well. The point is that BT owns all the copper telephone lines in Britain, apart from Hull and one or two other cities with special exemptions. So it doesn't matter if you go to Sky, if you go to Origin, if you go to EE, if you go through O2 and wherever you launch your broadband, you're just getting BT cables with different branding on them. It's the exact same service. So yeah, I used to do broadband tech for Sky, and people would phone up and say, "Oh, it's faster with this network." And I'm like, "No, it isn't. It's the exact same cable, and all that's going to happen is the guy's going to go to the green box at the end of your street, unplug you if you want a bit, and plug you into another bit. It's the same wire.
Charge you a fortune.
Charge you a whole fortune for doing it. And then no date, right, you have to phone me so I can show them how to do it. Right? So it's the exact same stuff. So again, there isn't a really, unless you've got companies like Virgin that are willing to spend billions laying down new cables everywhere, which just isn't realistic. Because we had Virgin to Cardiff for years and years, and they've only just recently moved it to Dunfermline. Virgin rollout takes far too long. What we need to do is upgrade the existing infrastructure that's been getting developed since Queen Victoria was still on the throne. And to that end, communication then belongs to the people, because there's only one communication network that reliably works, and that's the BT Openreach cabling. So we should have direct democratic control over that. The big example, obviously, the big sort of thing that's in everybody's mind, and it's the thing that sort of sets us apart from your transatlantic cousins, and that's healthcare. So again, when you're sick, you then go, well, that hospital has got better medicine. You just go to the hospital that's nearest to you and will cure you. So again, there's no competition in hospitals. You go to the one that's closest. So healthcare should be run by the people. So yeah, another couple of examples: energy, education, railways, public maintenance. So your bin men, your sewage workers, all that stuff. You can't really do on an individual basis. You need coordination. So that should be run by the government, as long as the government is chosen by us and through a proper democratic republic. The other thing, the second sort of method is what I call democratisation. Now, when I mean democratisation, I mean when you've got private companies, which I don't think are necessarily an evil thing to exist, but so long as the private companies are owned by the people who work in them. So for example, again, I work for O2 Telefonica. I go in every single day and I sell phones to people, and I fix people's phones, and I sell them screen protectors and cases and insurance, and I get £10 an hour or something. And some CEO who's never set foot in a retail branch in their entire life gets paid millions because they happen to own a bit of the company. But if me and all my colleagues just piss off, if we didn't come into work, the business wouldn't even operate. It needs us, so it is ours. That the owners of that company are taking the money we generate, paying us back a pittance and pocketing the rest. That's wage theft, and that's one of the fundamental problems of capitalism. So I've got no problem, and it's one of the big things that people say about socialism: you just want the government to control everything. And it's not true. I want the people to control everything. As I said to my pal Samantha, I've been slowly radicalising in the last 4 years, but she's a monarchist, so it's like shit in my way. But she really loves Jeremy Corbyn, so I think I'm getting somewhere. And I said to her that as a socialist, all we're demanding is the world and everything in it. Because we produce it, we build it, we maintain it, it belongs to us. So in my sort of ideal world, a shop like mine, the management would be elected by the team. Because, to be fair enough, the two managers I've got are pretty good at their jobs, and I'd probably vote for them if I had the choice. But there is absolutely no reason why, we wouldn't accept in any other scenario the person in charge of us just being in charge forever because somebody else said so. Why should somebody who can end up being out of touch with what my job actually is be the person who tells me how to do my job? it should be one of my peers. And well, actually me, but that's neither here nor there. But not just on sort of private level, you can also run public services in the same sort of cooperative way. So for example, I use trains as an example of something that needs national coordination. But something that can be done through local coordination with bus companies. Now, a bus company doesn't necessarily need random people dictating where it can go and where it can't go. But it also doesn't need the government telling it where it can and can't go. The buses that run in Fife, or just run in Falkirk, should just be controlled by the bus drivers that drive in Fife and drive in Falkirk. And obviously that doesn't mean they can just piss about and do what they want, because that's what they're doing now. What we want is something more effective and functional. So you would have, bus companies would be run democratically by bus drivers and station attendants and bus conductors, which don't really exist anymore, but they very well could, because when you get to the point where you're automating society and you're making things fair and wages go up because you're not pocketing random profits, you will find that you'll employ people to do jobs that aren't necessarily necessary, but give somebody a job. So, being a bus conductor, digging a hole, that kind of thing. So, democratisation contrasts with nationalisation because it's done on a more local level. And that's similar to the policy that we put through a few conferences ago, where we said that all issues that are nationalised should be devolved down to the lowest local level until it stops making sense. So, you wouldn't nationalise the military down to Toon Hall and Mogilly. But you would nationalise the park budget for Kirkcaldy to Kirkcaldy and let the people in Kirkcaldy decide how much money they're going to spend on fixing up Craig's Park. And it's the same sort of thing. The more power you take away from the centre and put in the hands of ordinary people, the less power there is to abuse. And that's as straightforward as we possibly can. And that sort of ties into what I mean by socialisation, which is kind of a middle ground between nationalisation and democratisation, because you're not saying that it can only be run by the people who operate it, like with a bus company, but you're also not saying that the national government should decide how something's run. You're saying that the people directly affected by it get the final say. So, you would devolve stuff like maintaining parks and roads and street lights and facilities down to each individual town. And again, like I said before, it stops stuff being abused. One of the big things that we have to avoid as socialists is getting too caught up in liberal nonsense. Because as a socialist party, we took the decision very early on that we supported Scottish independence. Now, I said at the last meeting that I'm not a nationalist. I supported independence because it was the most sensible solution to the very real problem in Scotland, which was that there's a massive democratic gulf where Scottish votes didn't actually count, would be as well no voting, because if you remove the Scottish vote for any referendum or election that's been had in the last 70 odd years, the result doesn't change. So we never get what we actively vote for. And the only solution to that was to become an independent country. Not because William Wallace, or because I think Scottish people are naturally better than any other people, or because I hate English people, but because I believe in democracy. Go away, King. Sorry, my mate's trying to text me. He's also called King, which kind of ties in with this. But what I do sort of worry about is, and I see it quite a lot, it's not necessarily for solidarity, but for people on the left who support independence, is that we're slitting down into that, away from the civic nationalism to outright nationalism. And as a socialist party, the biggest thing we need to be doing is, when we're speaking about Scottish independence, we're talking about it for the view of forming a democratic republic. No because we think we're better than anybody else, but because we think we're equal to anybody else. The other major platform, I touched on it a wee bit earlier, is this idea of welfare capitalism. So welfare capitalism is when you just have private ownership of the means of production, so what we have now, but with good benefits. So universal basic income and really good healthcare and that kind of thing. Those are good things in which you maybe look at implementing things in a socialist society, but no instead in a socialist society. And again, I think a lot of left parties, or at least left organisations, fall directly into that trap. So to sum up, I'm a socialist. I've got one definition of socialism. It isn't Solidarity's definition, because Solidarity officially doesn't have a definition. But I believe that workers should control the things they work on, and that the people should control the things that they need to live their life. So thanks very much for listening.